Yo, what's up everybody? Hitman BK here, and we have a really cool video today that's with Into the Void 90s, a fellow community member of the Filthy Casuals, and he has offered to kind of take y'all through some really solid tips and tricks for a hardcore run. So for anyone out there who's still attempting and bashing their heads up against the wall, like myself, to take on hardcore, we actually have somebody here who might be able to just give us a hand with that. So make sure as well you guys like and subscribe and comment anything you want to see, thoughts on this, things you think that he actually could do better, because I mean, who doesn't want to know that they could do better? Do that, and it helps the video, it helps me out. We're well on our way to 1,000 subscribers. I really think we're going to hit it this month, which would be like hella dope. But you know what, enough with that. Let's just get into this, and we'll be right back. Okay, y'all, what's up, Void?
Hello there.
Hello.
First, you gotta do the things. Praise the gun. Okay.
Praise the gun. All right, man. So thank you so much for taking time to do this.
Absolutely. Just a really quick intro about me before we get into it, so the people know my background and know credibility. I first found Remnant on Xbox when it came to Xbox Game Pass. I loved it so much. It quickly jumped up to, at that point in time, it was not my #1 game. It was like number 2 or 3. But after some of the other games that I liked more than that started to do some weird stuff, some political malarkey, and some just like overall quality drop, Remnant became my #1 IP. So from there, I got it freebies on Epic, and I played through this one, but as much as I could. And then when this one came out, I pretty much no-lifed the heck out of it until I think at this point the only things I'm missing is like rings, amulets, and 2 or 3 of the melee weapons. So
nice.
Way too much playtime.
No such thing. No such thing.
Fair enough. I'm so excited for the DLCs. Anyways, that's not what you guys are here for. You guys are here for a hardcore assistance. So first things first, when you roll your hardcore character, roll Challenger or roll Engineer. Reasons why is Engineer, you cannot get in the game. You pretty much have to die in order to get him, and that's kind of absolutely not in hardcore. So
yeah, that makes
Engineer is very, very good. I'll go over the reasons why I pick Engineer over Challenger. But if you don't have Engineer or you don't want to go with Engineer, Challenger is good in a pinch. You get that free every 10 minutes or every rest of the world stone, get out of jail free card.
You're talking about for the res, like the free, the free death. Yeah.
Yes. There's only like 2 things in the entire game that ignore that, and you'll know where both of them are. So I'll explain what that is in this.
Wait, so why Challenger then over Doggo? Because Doggo reses you.
Because Doggo, I just don't like the perk set of Doggo at all.
Gotcha.
Doggo's handy and Doggo takes off aggro. That's true, but he's quite janky. And he is less effective than the turret if you're going with a companion system, or the summon if you're going with companion system, because he literally cannot touch flying enemies, flying bosses, whatnot. That is a valid point, though. Handler is not a bad option. I just personally think Challenger is a better choice because you get a better passive perk, because Kinship literally does nothing for you in hardcore, if you're playing solo especially.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah. The reason I would say Engineer over that is because that extra armor effectiveness is just more useful in the long run than reduced armor encumbrance, and I'll explain why in a second. Plus, the turret is really, really good. If you're having an elite and you're fighting an elite, it's hard. Like especially the Narud elites, you just drop the turret, you pop your overclock, you run. You let the turret do the work.
That's true. I just let the turret give you the free DPS. Yep.
Yeah. Same with the boss fight. You drop the turret, you click overclock, you focus on surviving, let it do some damage, and then when it dies out, you either focus on surviving until it's back up, or you start doing damage at that point and just play it careful.
All right.
That's it for the starting classes. For the stuff you're going to want, you're going to start off with just enough scrap. If you sell everything but your ammo, your iron, and your relic dusts, you'll be able to come over to Reggie. You'll be able to buy the Black Cat Ring, which is a must in
Yes.
hardcore to start. If for those of you that don't know how to get Black Cat, or if you don't have it on Reggie, go to your main character, die 15 times. It'll unlock on Reggie at that point forward.
Yep.
And it's basically a second challenger option. The only difference is challenger brings you back with some health, Black Cat brings you back with no health, a very shortened vulnerability window, and boosted movement speed. So once you come back, you want to heal some way. The other item you're going to want to get from Reggie is the Bright Steel Ring.
Let's talk again.
Because all that extra roly-polies is very, very good, especially in a hardcore run, because then you can put on as much heavy armor as you want to.
Makes sense.
Next thing I would grab would be come over to McCabe.
Hey, gotta get your free mod.
Gotta grab that healing shot, because having multiple heals and multiple get out of jail free cards is always the way to go with hardcore. You're gonna come back to McCabe before we actually start the hardcore run anyways, but we're gonna worry about that in a skosh. Let's see here. Obviously, you want to grab the SMG, which is up here.
Yes.
Chest
Most people
code
should know where this is, I feel like, but yes, always grab this SMG.
If you don't know what the code is, it's on the bottom of your flashlight, but just for ease of use, it's 0415. I have it memorized because I play this game way too much. No such thing, but obviously too much.
It is still like my favorite gun too. I mean, if I use it, I just don't stop using it.
And then from there, you throw on the heaviest armor you start with. If you got the Ultimate Edition, I believe you have Radiant and Void and whatnot. If you start with Engineer, leave the boots on. They're the best thing you're gonna have at that point in time, and then throw everything else on Radiant, and then throw in the Void Helmet. Void Helmet has the highest armor class ratings for the rest of it. If you start with Challenger, I'm not sure. Bruiser armor might be a little bit better. I usually don't wear Bruiser armor.
Oh yeah, once you grab that key, if you don't know, because you didn't know where the key was, straight ahead where I'm looking, just run through those gates over there, go through the it's literally just a straight path, and you will find
down the cargo
SMG.
hold.
Down the cargo hold, yep.
Totally forgot to mention that, so thank you for that. What I like to do, just so to make sure there's no possible accidental switch-ups, is once I do that, I unequip my primary weapon and my melee weapon, and I only have the SMG on and only have healing shot on. That way I'm guaranteed when I pull out my weapon, if I need that healing shot for the run that you're doing, you got it. It's good to go.
All right.
That's it for the primary startup, and then we go into the actual grindy run part. Now, for me, I like to give it, basically you want to run it until you can get the items that you need. I like to say it's anywhere from 3 hours to 4 hours, depending on how lucky you are and the items that you drop. But it's basically you're prepping for your hardcore run. You want to make sure you have the best possible start. So we're getting as much scrap, as much materials as we can, so we can buy the stuff from the ward that we need to give us that leg up.
And we're doing this in Yaesha?
Yes. So it doesn't matter which one. You always just you start your hardcore run, whatever difficulty it's on. Don't touch it. Switch to adventure mode immediately. Pop on Yaesha, because you can get in Red Throne you can get 3 chests off the rip, and in Forgotten Grove you can get 1 chest off the rip.
All right.
Now here we have a little bit of a issue, and by that I mean there are 3 royal guards, so you have potential damage, which is why you want the Black Cat ring and the healing shot out the rip, so you can make sure you survive. The other thing is, unlike in Remnant 1 and Remnant 2, as soon as you aggro on an enemy, you cannot use the World Stone until you change zones, because they basically count as aggroed on you the entire time you're in that zone. So we can't run around, grab it, come back, and use the World Stone. So we have to do this other route. So what I'm going to do, if you want, just to make it a little bit easier, you can jump off and perish, and they can just...
Goodbye.
Yeah, if you spectate me, they'll be able to see the entire run. Ordinarily, you won't have the full armor set that I have on, which is totally fine. I'm just going to do it in this because this is the armor set you're going to want. It's the best you can get in the game.
I've never seen anything like this
For this
before.
run, that guy, you might be able to sneak past him. Probably not. So we're just going to not worry about it. We're going to run past him. Whee!
Take the hit.
Yep, I'm using the heavy roll right now because
I saw that fat roll.
Yeah, this build is an apocalypse build. It's not the actual.
Yeah, this is not what you're going to have on the hardcore start, right?
This is my goal on the hardcore runs. My hardcore runs, Actually, I'm showing this so you don't have to, but I could technically kill these guys. But here's the first chest. You're gonna do better at avoiding the rolls than I am. You'll have the bright steel ring on, so it'll be a little bit easier. And then we grab that, we ignore them, we do very carefully try to move past them. You don't have to use the heal shot like I did. Usually you can get down to a third or a half of health before, because when you start throwing on heavy armor, they're just not going to be able to kill you fast enough. And we run through. These guys will be chasing us. That's fine. We don't care about that. We go to the library, and this is where we pick up our third and final royal guard and our second chest.
Okay.
Hello. I don't actually have to kill them. I don't know why I was shooting at him. I'm trying to show
why not
kill him. That's fair. Here's chest number 2, and you don't want to go backwards. You want to just right off the side.
Right, because they're gonna be waiting to smash your face in.
If one or two of them are down here on the platform, you can always wait until you don't want to have any of them next to you when you roll, or if you do, you only want to have them have time for one attack. But if they're not close and they're walking, you can always just stay there long enough for them to get closer, so they have a longer time to catch up to you.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go and grab the third and final chest, which is through this secret wall.
How did I never know there was a secret wall right there?
This is, if you go down to the royal prison, we're basically going backwards. That's the third chest.
Okay.
That chest will often drop actual items and will often drop relic fragments, which is good because you want as many relic fragments as you can get, and you want as many like consumables to sell as you can, because most of them sell for a lot.
Okay.
And then we run right on through, because we can't go back to the world stone, so we're just gonna go out the door. I hear them behind me do the stim stompings.
Yeah. The sound in this game is so good.
It's so good. It's like, turn off the music. The music's so good, but turn off the music because the boss fights, the mobs, they have such good positional awareness if you listen to their sounds.
That's true. Yeah.
They
Especially the
nailed
last boss.
Sound. Oh, for sure. Okay, and then we pop here. We go back to Ward 13.
All right.
And then you re-roll the adventure. For this one, if you want, I can show you the other zone, but it's pretty plug and play for that one. You just go down, take a left, there's the chest there, and then you come back to the stone and dip out for the other start zone. If you want to show it, I can, though.
It's up to you.
Might as well. If this for people to visualize, might as well do it. So, next one, there is no danger in the next one. Did we get it? We got it. Forbidden Grove. This
so you're
one only has one
re-rolling
chest.
to get Forbidden Grove on your second one.
Yes, you just re-roll it. You don't care about Forbidden Grove. You just re-roll it and keep going through those sequences until you have the scrap and materials you need in order to buy the stuff you want to. And
Gotcha.
Some people might want to wait and not buy anything until they have all the stuff available. I do not recommend that. As soon as you can, start buying better gear, start buying armor. Armor should be the highest priority for stuff to grab. That way you just take less damage when you're running through the big bads. And then you just basically turn around and go right back.
Okay.
And that's
what
for the
are we
grind.
saving up to buy? So like right now you're gonna keep doing this to buy what?
That's what we're gonna get to. And once we get back, I'll explain the rest of it.
Ah, okay.
So by the time you've ran this enough to start having stuff, Cass is probably gonna have more items to buy. Anything, since Cass's stock is random, basically what you want to buy with Cass is anything that improves your armor or in your damage reduction.
Right.
Amber Moonstone is a great option. She'll have that pretty easily, pretty regularly. The Simulacrum you can buy from her if you've gone overboard, but that's a low priority. Same with the Enlarged Heart. You don't need either of those to start. The next items you're going to want to buy from Reggie would be the Firestone Ring, but that is secondary priority compared to the next couple of items. I need to pull up the stuff since I've bought everything. I need to pull up the wiki to list them off. I know for sure you're going to want the Lado amulet if you have it. For those that don't know, I mentioned the Bright Steel Ring earlier. If you don't have the Bright Steel Ring, to get that, you need to clear 15 biomes. This can be done in adventure mode. This can be done in regular mode. It does not have to be done in hardcore mode. So I would recommend doing that before you start your hardcore run, because the Bright Steel Ring is so good for the hardcore run. So the Firestone Ring, you get that off the rip. You're going to want that because it buffs your boss damage. You don't need it out the gate, but you want to have it for when you are going to go up against a boss.
Okay.
You're going to want to buy the Leto's Amulet. Leto's Amulet, you need to heavy flop in your armor. So Leto's Mark 1 or Leto's Mark 2 in full. You have to do the flop, not the slow roll, 100 times. And what that amulet does, it reduces your encumbrance by 40, so less stamina when you roll, and also reduces your stamina cost by 15%, so even less stamina when you roll.
I don't even have that ring, funny enough. I haven't flopped around enough.
Leto's Amulet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying to get, but it's not bad to get. So Amber Moonstone from Cass, it would be another high one if she has it. Let me see what else we got here. I personally think another good choice if Cass sells it is... Where's the name of the ring? I need to find it. There it is. Rock of Anguish. It's not, like, defensive, but it's going to make you move a little bit faster as you take damage in the grind. So it's not a bad choice, but it's not a necessary one if you don't have it or if you don't want to use it.
Okay.
If Reggie doesn't have another good defense ring, and neither does Cass, then if you want to have a full stacks of ring, you could always grab Anastasia's Inspiration. It's the most expensive item you'd potentially start with, but it just makes you move faster and everything faster when you're receiving a healing effect, which can be pretty good out the gate, but it's not required. That's it for rings and amulets out the rip. Usually speaking, if you have Black Cat, Amber Moonstone, and Brightsteel Ring, then you're probably just going to throw on the Fire Ring and go. But there's other options if needed. For armor, you're going to want to come over to this bad boy. And I'm sorry to say this, hardcore runs, aesthetics don't matter. I am an aesthetic player, so I hate this, but aesthetics don't matter. So what you want to grab is if you beat the game, the full Leto Mark 1 set. All of it.
Yeah.
Except for the gloves. For the gloves, you want the Labyrinth set, because the Labyrinth gloves are the not heaviest armor, but it's got the best stats for any heavy gauntlet in the game. So Leto's Mark 1 or Mark 2, doesn't matter. You just want the Labyrinth gloves. For those
and
that
the
don't know
armor
how
alone
to
is
get
going to
that,
run you, that's going to be 4-5, it's 1550, just over 2,000 plus that, like, so about 3,000 scrap.
It's about 1150 for the chest. I think it's
I'm looking at it right now.
Change for
you
the
have 400,
helmet.
400 for the helmet, 1150 chest, 825 for the feet, and 825 for the gloves.
So some quick maths. Yeah, about $3,000 scrap. So
Was that like 16, 17, 19, 20? Yeah, just over 3. So.
My cat. Trying to distract
And there's
us while we're doing
Anastasia's
this.
Inspiration as well, that you can buy from Whispers, and that's 3,000.
Yep. Yeah, that one is definitely not one that's required, but if you want to go for a full set of defensive rings while you're running the open world and not fighting a boss, then that one's not a bad choice, especially if you start getting items that help build your health regen. That's going to help out quite a bit.
Nice.
That's that for armor, and then we're going to come back over to our dearest friends, Barabbas and McCabe. So for McCabe, easy peasy lemon squeezy, we want Hot Shot. I think it's called Hot Shot.
Hot Shot. Yeah, you're talking about the fire mod?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, Hot Shot's the best.
It's gonna help with your not your survivability. It's gonna help with your damage numbers, especially when you're fighting a boss. The damage over time, the automatic reload, and combine it with a fire ring to do a little bit more damage. It's gonna help put up the damage, which is very, very good. Then for Barabbas, I recommend getting the Black Maw, the assault rifle. It is, in my opinion, the best option for a hardcore run out the gate. Just because you have good range, you have good damage, you have good sustain on the magazine, you're not running out of ammo a ton, and it's not requiring nearly as much precision as the Wrangler. If you're good at landing your headshots, Wrangler's a great choice. It's going to do a lot of damage, especially for the end of the game, because Annihilation, Black Maw is great, it's the most well-rounded, but it doesn't hit as hard as Wrangler does against targets with big headshot boxes.
Okay.
It's a 100% weak
and
spot
Black
damage
Maw's where you're
modifier
putting
for Black
Hot
Maw.
Shot on too.
Yes. You're putting Healing Shot on the SMG and Hot Shot on the Black Maw.
Right.
For the Wrangler, it does 110 weak spot damage, so you're hitting harder on bigger bosses with headshots. You could go with the Huntsmaster. I don't like it for hardcore runs because it doesn't have the mag size. It's got a longer reload. It's just, I think Wrangler's a better choice for hardcore runs.
Okay.
Out the rip, anyways. If you've beat the game on Apocalypse already, you're going to want to pick yourself up World's Edge as the next weapon.
Yes. Yeah.
Reason why? It's the best damage out the gate with a ranged attack. You do technically get better damage out the rip with the Royal Broadsword or with the Iron Greatsword, but neither of them have a ranged option, and neither of them are very good at crowd control, so World's Edge it's just better, in my opinion, for a starting melee weapon. You heavy swing, you're not using ammo, you're only using stamina. The wave kills most minor adds in 1 or 2 swings, so it's very, very good for that.
Nice.
We're almost done with here. And then you come over to Dwell, and you want to grab yourself the Battery Mutator. The reason why is it's the only mutator that he has that's good for a ranged weapon that doesn't require something that puts you out of position and helps maintain, what's the word?
That's all
It's
stacks.
basically, it reduces the margin for error. Because
Right.
what Battery does is when you land body shot range shots, it's buffing the next weak spot shot within a certain amount of time. So if you're using the
10%.
Black Maw and you're not, basically you can fire around, and if you're not landing weak spot shots every single time and you're making mistakes, the next time you hit him in the weak spot, as long as the modifier is still activated, you're hitting him for harder. So it cleans up your combat loop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's that for weapons and whatnot. If you want to start with an alternate, like a secondary archetype, if you are rocking Challenger, do not, if you're rocking Challenger, pick up Medic. If you're rocking Engineer, you can pick up Challenger, but I wouldn't worry about it right now. Challenger and Engineer both want to be your number one, because Challenger, it's the revive only works if it's your primary archetype, and Engineer only gets overclock if it's your primary archetype.
Right.
So you don't want Challenger until we're getting to a position where we're ready to safely level our characters up. If you level, you don't have to in hardcore, because XP is pretty much a negative in hardcore, but if you get to the point where you're confident, you can level without risking potentially losing in combat and canceling out your run, then you can always pick up Challenger and you can work on it. If you want to go with the damage tank build that I have for Apocalypse and that I try to build in my hardcore runs, it's a good choice. And I'll explain why during the Apocalypse build video, but basically Medic is the go-to pick.
Okay.
You're getting faster relics, you're getting better relics, you're getting a heal.
And you're using, I assume, are you using the shield heal, the second ability?
No, at this stage we're just worrying about the first heal, because we're not
that's true.
trying at this stage we're not trying to level our archetypes. That comes later.
Right.
Once you picked all that up, you're ready for your hardcore run. And then we're here, but we don't really have to be here. You know what, that doesn't matter. For the hardcore run, basically what you want to do is you do not want to explore. You want to go from point A to point B, and that is from Worldstone to primary objective. Worldstone to primary objective. Only killing the stuff in your way. And the reason why is because XP in hardcore is bad. Because if you go for level ups, if you're exploring, A, more opportunities to potentially die via stupid combat loops or via accident. B, easily get outclassed by the enemies. If you're running around, your archetype levels basically do nothing for you yet. All they do is make it harder. So what you want to do is point A to point B. Whenever you change a zone, oh, I forgot to mention, when you're doing your grind, grabbing your items, you want to sell everything except for iron, ammo boxes, relic dust, which we will sell after we buy battery, because after we buy battery we don't need it, so after that point you can just sell it, if you manage to get yourself Luminite crystals in the run, which you shouldn't, or if you manage to get yourself a simulacrum in the run, which you shouldn't, you can hold on to those as well. But basically, ammo boxes, iron, and relic dust. And then once you buy battery, sell the rest of the relic dust.
Right.
That way you're trying to
make as much scrap as you can.
Exactly. To that point, once you get into open world, you can start picking up stuff. I would highly recommend you come back and buy a Mudtooth's, what's it called?
Mudtooth's elixir? You talking about the...
No, Mudtooth tonic, because it bumps your health by 25% for 60 minutes. So you're basically getting max, not quite max vigor. You're getting, where's vigor? You're getting a level, just a little bit more than a level 8 vigor for 60 minutes for scrap, which is going to help you survive longer, especially before a boss fight. Always make sure you have one and you drink it before you go into a boss fight. You can if you're in the open world, but always before a boss fight.
All right.
Back on the point that I was trying to make, when you're in the game, you're actually running the hardcore run. If you transition a zone, check the power level in the top right corner of the minimap. If your character level, the power level when you're in your inventory looking at your character, is less than that, come back to Ward 13. Go to, I always forget his name. I want to call him McCabe, but it's not McCabe.
Gotta love it when your game crashes.
Riggs, right? Oh, did you crash?
I did. I totally just crashed, but that's all right.
Blast. Basically, whenever you go to a new zone and your level is lower than the zone you're in, come back to Riggs and level up one level up at a time, then exit, check your power level. If it's equal to the zone, stop. If it's not, go back in and level up your main weapon again until it's equal. And when I say your main weapon, if you're using your SMG, only level the SMG. You don't need the SMG for damage. You're basically, the only reason we have the SMG is for a fast buildup of healing shot. If you're running Engie, you technically can get by with a rupture cannon because it'll also build up mod power quickly. But if you're not running that, then SMG.
All right.
Basically, level up your primary weapon until your power is equal, because then your primary weapon is going to be a higher number than the enemies you're facing. And other than that, the only other thing to add would be, once you get to a point where you are comfortable grinding levels without necessarily risking ending the run, at that point, pick up archetypes that you want to level up and just work on grinding. I would suggest the chimney. If you get to the bottom of the chimney without dying, it's an endless swarm of enemies until you break the crystal, the root thing in the center.
Right, yeah, the chimney cheese is great for leveling.
Yep. And as far as I know, that's the easiest one to do solo. So obviously it's going to be, if you're trying to level up multiple archetypes, just tick the 2 you want to level up on, so you don't have to hop into your inventory and switch mid-combat, because there's risk in that. And just level up those ones. In my opinion, Engineer, if you started with Engineer, because Fortify is amazing. Summoner, if you can grab it, because passive health regen is amazing. The Dock, so you have the boosted regen. And then also, if you grabbed Challenger, you can level up whatever archetypes you want to, if you feel it works with your build in the hardcore run. But Challenger can make your rolls cost less stamina if you're using the Bright Steel ring, or if you find a ring that does not require, like if you find a ring that you want instead of the Bright Steel ring, you can also use the Strongback to wear heavier armor and still not flop.
Yeah, not flop.
Yeah, that's pretty much that.
All right.
With the last parting piece of wisdom is, pick a build. If you're using the world analyzer, plan your build ahead of time. Reroll the world until you have the items you need, which is what I do. I use the world analyzer, so it basically tells you what encounters you're going to get, what loot you're going to get, so I can plan out how I'm going to build for my hardcore run and make sure I have the best chance of survival.
Nice, dude. Well, I mean, That's a whole lot of information. I'll make sure to chapter this for everyone too as well. I think we're sitting at like 30 minutes. But this was like really good info. Essentially, y'all, just to wrap it all up, like this is just a great way to get into the game. Start hardcore, build your scrap, do the run in Yaesha so you can get scrap the quickest way possible. Use the scrap to buy these rings, the amulets, the weapons, as well as those mods to help you right from the rip have a good opportunity and a good run in hardcore without, you know, struggling right off the start, which I can tell you it definitely happens, because I have had about 7 or 8 characters go down before ever making it to the first boss.
There was 2 other things I forgot to mention. If you are running Challenger Black Cat Ring, the only 2 things that ignore those are if you fall to your death, so watch out in the Labyrinth, watch out in Yaesha, and the Cube Sentinel. If the Cube Sentinel touches your toe, you're done. Doesn't matter.
Yes,
so for those situations,
no one survives a smash toe.
Right? Get a buddy, because if you die and there's someone out in the stone, they can grab it and it brings you back to life. It's the one way to cheese actual death in hardcore. The other thing I was going to mention is if you are using the World Analyzer, I would highly suggest you set it up so you have the Ravager as your Yaesha boss, so you basically get to skip a world boss entirely.
Yeah.
And that you set it up so you can get the Tranquil Heart, because the Tranquil Heart's regeneration is also extremely helpful in this.
All right. Well, shoot. Thanks, Void, for taking the time today to create this, and we'll get this out, and hopefully this helps everybody. Hopefully you guys like this. Sound off in the comments if there's anything you would change. And yeah, until next time.
And also, people, don't forget, let's get this amazing man to 1,000 subscribers. Let's do it.
Get out of here.
No, you deserve it, man.
Later, everybody.